we wanted to talk a little bit about him sitting down and talking with Mike Norvell and the way that Mike Norvell kind of vetted him, Norvell, and the program. We know that DJ also talked to Jordan Travis, so you're going to hear a clip about that as well. And then we're going to get the assessment of DJ's game and from his own lips, what he thinks about his strengths and what he brings to the table as a quarterback. I'm excited. This is good stuff.
Yeah, what sets the stage for the first clip is that Mike Norvell, the way he recruited DJU when he was on campus, and as you recall, that interview when he left Moore, he seemed pretty pumped about what Florida State was. And the tactic was Mike Norvell came prepared with 3 games of DJU's film that he wanted to go over with DJ in the room, mano a mano, offensive mind, quarterback. Let's see how we look here. And that's something that you don't really hear about. But in the transfer portal days, I guess that would be more routine. It's not something you would do with a high school quarterback and say, all right, I don't care about anything else. And you don't care about anything else. Let's get to the film. But when you have somebody who's been around at 2 different programs, this is his last stop. Mike got down to business when DJU arrived on campus.
Good stuff. And with that, let's listen. Here's DJU.
I've been through the fluff of recruiting. Like, that stuff doesn't really matter to me anymore. Like, for me, I don't really care what the facilities look like. Like, all I just need is a football, and that's about it. And some shoulder pads and a helmet, I'll be good to go. And a playbook. So for him to be able to sit down with me and watch 3 games of everything, have his thoughts about how I played, things where I can get better at, things I did well, and be able to talk to him, asking him, like, hey, how would you do this? Or, like, what is this play? Would you run this in the offense? Or what do you guys think about this? Or he would ask me, like, what was your read here? How do you guys see the defense, or how you guys read this play? Something similar in their offense. It was cool because for me, man, that's all I want to do. I want to continue to keep getting better as a quarterback, continue to learn. And Coach Norvell, he's an extremely smart coach. And for me, that was a big reason why I wanted to be here. I wanted to learn from him and to be able to get developed under him.
Good stuff, man. I love it. I love it. I think Mike Norvell's got to be giddy to hear his response and the way that he responded to that, in a way, challenge of sitting there and picking apart who you are, what you are as a quarterback, and what he's going to challenge you to be. And that's been the big success, I think the kernel of success they can dangle out there to transfer portal players is, hey, man, you may have been good wherever you were. You may have been wanted by everybody where you're coming from. And once you announced that you were going into the portal, but I'm not here to kiss the ring. I'm here to tell you, here's what you can do a lot better. I'm going to make you better. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to force you to take the next step, either as a leader, if that's what you need, or as a player physically. The things you could get more out of your overall talents, we'll refine that and get the most out of you. Whatever it might be, we're going to elevate it. And players have responded to that time and again, so much so that that's the reputation. And now people knock on the door and you got to turn people away. You have a greater selection of talent to choose from in the portal. You know, this isn't always, and in many ways you can point to failures in the transfer portal around the country. For those that have tried to go in as hard as Florida State has and maybe not had the same kind of success. And I think at the core of why Florida State does have success is that they haven't been kiss ass in this process. It has been about the challenge. It has been about the focus of getting better and not, hey, please, please, please come here. We need you. That's not what they do at all. And they really haven't, even when they should have been, please, please, please come here. We really need you. Going back to when we were a 5-7 team and you desperately needed to raise the floor of talent, Mike wasn't about that. He wasn't going to go out there and be like, well, you know, you're better than anything I got. So if you want to come here, there's a place for you. That's not how they did it. It was like, no, we're not going to cut corners. Obviously, I'm on the phone with you. I care about upgrading my roster. If you couldn't play, we wouldn't be talking. But that's not what this is. There's a mutual interest here. Now let's talk about what we both can get out of this and how it's going to work. I like it. Next, he talked to Jordan Travis. And that's a good idea because Jordan Travis was here playing quarterback for Mike Norvell for a long time.
I got to talk to him before I took my official visit. I talked to him 2 days beforehand. I just had a couple questions I want to ask him because for the most part, I knew a couple players that played here. I knew Micah, I knew Johnny, I knew AJ and just a couple other guys playing against him. I kind of had my thoughts on what I knew about Florida State, about the coaching staff, but I also want to ask Jordan because he played in this offense for some time now, and he was right there in the thick of it with Coach Norvell and Coach Tokart. So I wanted to ask him a couple questions about the program. How are they as coaches off the field? How are they as men? And he had nothing but great things to say. And that comes from your starting quarterback for a couple years now. I mean, that's all you need to hear. So when I heard that, kind of proved all my points that I had, thought about Coach Norvell and all the other coaches here, and kind of just like, well, that just solidified it then. There's no one else I really need to talk to.
You know, it's cool. I think that if you're in an interview setting and you're Jordan Travis or a current player on the roster at any point over the last several years, and you're being interviewed and a question comes up about your head coach or a question comes up about scheme, let's say, or other teammates, you know, unless you're a complete dolt, you're always going to say nice things. You're certainly not going to say things that would ruin the reputation of your coach, create an environment of friction for yourself. You're going to say what you think the reporter probably wants to hear and allows you to get to the next question and that much sooner get out the door. You're not going to bring up some of the foibles of what a player is or what a coach is or what the system does or doesn't do. Where you're apt to tell the truth, I think, are on these visits. If you're a recruit coming to town and there's a kid who's hosting you and there are things about the position group that he likes and doesn't like, and the coaching staff that he likes and doesn't like, or what it's like to live here, or any of the things that somebody might ask visiting a program that they were vetting as to whether or not they wanted to bank their future on. And attending. And those kinds of questions, because players are real with players, and they'll say to a guy, hey, listen, let me tell you, there's a lot of good things here. Heads up, so-and-so can be a bit of an ass on a daily basis, and it can be tough dealing with him. You know, when they recruited me, I kind of thought it was going to be this way. It turned out to be that way. Some of that was good. Some of that was bad, and everything in between. So why am I bringing that up? Well, based on his body language, based on the enthusiasm in his voice, based on what we know Jordan Travis to be, who he was when he arrived, who he was when he left, the maturation process, the way that he improved in a way that I've never seen a quarterback improve. Jordan Travis went from not good, period, to very good. And it's pretty rare. I'm not saying development doesn't happen for players, but when you're lacking certain things as a quarterback and we just don't see it, you're devoid of it. And some of those things are accuracy or your ability to pre-snap, read a defense, the kinds of things that are on the check mark list of quarterback evaluations, to suddenly not only being able to do those things, but do them exceptionally well, till you become one of the best college quarterbacks in the nation, then you know that the process has worked, the development has worked, the assessment, the evaluation. And it's neat to hear Jordan Travis then behind the scenes, according to DJ, where I think an honest conversation would happen. Jordan Travis rave reviews about what it means to play in this offense, what it means to play for Mike Norvell, what it's like to be here at Florida State at the position that has the greatest spotlight upon it and the most amount of pressure and the intensity of all of that, right? You're in a fishbowl. Jordan Travis's opinion after all of this time, through many ups and downs, is that Mike Norvell is great to play for. The offense is fun to run, etc. Final part, DJ assessing his game, evaluations from DJ Uiagalelei about what kind of quarterback he is.
I feel like I bring great leadership. I bring like a dog mentality. Come out here ready to work. And then on the field, man, I feel like I really do. I feel like I push the ball down the field really well. It's something I want to do. Throw the rock. I feel like I can create plays inside the pocket, whether that's getting out or making people miss inside the pocket and making throws down the field. Not scared of contact. I don't shy away from contact at all. There's a lot of stuff I want to continue to get working on. Am I perfect? No, not from it. Far from it. But each and every day I want to get on the field. I want to strive to be able to be perfect in each and way I work, from the times of just being in tour duty, the times of lifting, and then just throwing receivers and being up on the board. There's a lot of things I want to continue to work on: footwork, different stuff, accuracy, pushing the ball down the field. I feel like for me, there's not just one thing I'm working on right now. I feel like my whole game I want to continue to get better at.
Let me tell you why that's important. My assessment of DJ at Clemson was that he did not run like a man. He did not run like somebody who likes contact. He did not run like somebody who's 250 plus pounds. He did not run like a player who understood that he had an advantage at that height, that size. Now, I don't want anybody to mistake this. He's not a burner. The kind of runner I'm talking about with DJ is much more methodical. He doesn't have he's certainly not going to have Jordan Travis's speed. Very few people do. But when you're that big and that strong, you should never be hesitant to get after it in the run game. You have an advantage. God forbid some poor bastard in the secondary has to come up and tackle you. You got to lay the wood. You got to be a guy who punishes people for coming up to tackle you. It's like when you watch a big man in basketball who refuses to play big. It'll drive you nuts. And I didn't think DJ, my personal assessment at Clemson, was he was not a willing runner. He did not want to run. There were opportunities for that young man to dominate people, to truck somebody, and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Somewhere in his maturation, in his growth as a quarterback, and his understanding of the position, he would take on that role later on. You can find runs from Oregon State where he's taking punishment, delivering punishment, staying on his feet, fighting for the extra yard. You didn't see a lot of it at Clemson. So he's gotten better. He's gotten to a place where he has a greater wherewithal of that advantage. We already know he possesses the big arm down the field. He's got to get better and more accurate in a lot of other areas. I like that he's honest about that, understands it, and wants to do it. I like that he talks about openly he's willing to run. Yes, that's music to my ears. You guys guessed that. Everything about that today was good. It's just an interview. Just an interview. He's got to go play football. But he didn't lose that interview. He certainly won in all the right ways. And he also took a snapshot of the behind-the-scenes process of how it is Florida State recruits transfer portal players and their potential. It's great.